To understand every step of the process, I did it myself. I was delivering hummus from my Honda.
Most of us will never become a billionaire.
I don't know if I've digested my relationship with money yet. I'm actually taking this call right now from a laundry room. I'm wearing a shirt that's probably 4 or 5 years old. My name was Xu Xing. I didn't speak a lick of English. I watched a lot of TV as a way to learn English. And I watched a show called Who's the Boss?
Tony Danza.
And that was how I came up with Tony. And
wait, have you ever told him this?
I've never met him.
I am gonna be the one who sets this up. Hey family, welcome to the show. We got another special one for you. Maybe one of the most interesting entrepreneurs in the country today. No, I'm not talking about Elon Musk. I'm not talking about Sarah Blakely. I'm not talking about Jack Dorsey. I'm talking about the founder of DoorDash. Tony Xu got his inspiration starting washing dishes in his mother's restaurant outside of Chicago. The youngster grew up to become an incredible entrepreneur and CEO, co-founder of DoorDash. Such an interesting guy, such magic. I wish good things for him. We need people like Tony Xu.
The Carlos Watson Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance.
Hey, Tony.
Carlos, how are you?
Good. I understand I'm talking to a fellow basketball junkie. Is that true?
Kinda, yeah. Once player and now junkie.
Oh my God. I didn't mean to retire you. I'm happy to refer to you as a player.
I'm a happy fan.
When you were in business school, did you play on any of the Stanford courts at all, or did you have any of the gyms that you love to hit?
So I played at Arriaga a little bit, but no, honestly, I played a lot when I was a kid.
Who's your team these days?
Well, my team is still the Bulls, which I grew up watching, but we've had more downs than ups recently.
Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Champaign, Illinois. I grew up really as an immigrant. I came here with my family when I was 5 years old from China. We immigrated to Illinois, where my dad was getting his PhD at the University of Illinois. And when I first moved here, I didn't speak a lick of English. My name was Xu Xing, which is a bit of a tongue twister for a lot of folks. And especially if you're the only Asian kid in school, you want to fit in quickly and learn the language quickly. And that's actually why I changed my name at the age of 5 to Tony. I walked with my dad to the immigration office and legally changed my name at the age of 5. But I also watched a lot of TV growing up as a kid as a way to learn English. And I watched a show called Who's the Boss? The leading star was Tony Danza.
Tony Danza.
And I was just like, I want to be like that guy. And that was how I came up with Tony. And
wait, have you ever met him? Have you told him this story?
Never met him. I've never met him before.
I am going to be the one who sets this up. This is too good to be true.
If you're from Boston like me and you like something, it's a wicked pizza. If you want the remote control, you say, pass me the clicker. And if you want a delicious coffee and donuts, you go to Dunkin', no matter where you're from. And now you can get my hometown fave delivered to your doorstep with DoorDash.
Tony, how did you end up starting DoorDash? Did you do that on your own, or did you do that with co-founders and friends?
I did that with co-founders and friends. All of us got together in 2013, and we weren't really bonded by a problem. We were bonded by a customer group, which really were small business owners. All of us have similar stories. My mom, to put food on the table, worked 3 jobs a day for about 12 years. All of those jobs happened to be in small businesses, and one of them happened to be at a local Chinese restaurant where I sometimes moonlighted as a dishwasher. She actually was a medical doctor in China, and when she came to the US to practice again, her medical license was not recognized. But we didn't have the money to put her through school and all of that training again. And so she kind of had to defer her dream. Now, 12 years later, after saving up enough money, she was able to open up that medical clinic. And she still runs that actually in her 24th year now.
Wow.
I've always had a fascination for the hustle, the entrepreneurship, the resourcefulness, and the tenacity, frankly, to overcome a lot of things, including a global pandemic. And that group of people are really what bonded the 4 of us founders together.
How did you know the other guys?
We all met at Stanford. I thought I was going to be a cancer researcher. So coming out of college, that's what I thought I was going to do. I just didn't feel like I was going to live up to my life motto of, I guess, where am I going to have the most fun and the least regret? So actually, out of college, I was effectively unemployed, which was not a great feeling nor a good gift for my parents on graduation day. But becoming an entrepreneur for me was never a goal. I first got introduced, I would say, to the world of, I guess, technology startups when I worked at eBay. So I worked for a team that supported the CFO of eBay. His name was Bob Swan. And one of the mandates of that team was really to understand technologies like mobile in the 08-09 era. The iPhone had just come out, the App Store had just released. And that kind of went on this 2-year endeavor where we studied hundreds of companies. Ultimately, eBay acquired one of those companies called Red Laser, and that's actually where I worked and got some experience working for a very small technology company. And that was really what I would say prompted my excitement, curiosity into the world of startups.
But then you go back to business school after all of this.
I do.
And you go back to business school with the mindset of, I'm going to do a startup, or with the mindset of, I'm enjoying business and let me see what comes of this?
More the latter. What I believed before going into business school, and what I still believe, I think to this day, is a lot of businesses, they start off as projects. I don't even know where you would start if the question is like, hey, why don't you go start a business tomorrow? Instead, there might be a problem, or in our situation at DoorDash, a problem space or a customer segment that you get really excited about, and you want to, let your curiosities grow. And maybe they grow into projects that turn into something, evolve into a company, but maybe not. And DoorDash even was our third idea. It wasn't necessarily the very first one. And so for me, heading into school or heading back into school really was about a time to spend a couple of years thinking as to where I might work.
Our home is the training ground for her dreams policy. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
If you were to go back and talk to young Tony and say, hey, dude, here's what no one's going to tell you, but here's why, or here's how a billion-dollar company gets built, what would be on that list?
I would say to follow the customer. And that can only be done if you did all of the work yourself. So, in business school, while my classmates were going on these awesome vacations to exotic places because they had already signed up great lucrative job opportunities after school, I was delivering hummus for my Honda. And, I didn't know anything about delivery. My background really was in cancer research and some work in business, but nothing in logistics. And so to understand every step of the process, I did it myself. And so did all my co-founders. It wasn't just me, but all of us, did every step to really understand, this complicated ecosystem we're privileged to serve. I mean, we serve 3 audiences: consumers, merchants, and dashers. I don't know how I would have been able to do that if I didn't do it myself. I don't think I could have read some Harvard Business School review, case study. I don't think I could have talked to people about it. I think I needed to do it. And by doing all of the jobs, I actually understood what the jobs to be done were.
Definitely something I can get behind. Bubba, DoorDash. Let's get it, baby.
The market for food delivery is projected to grow to $467 billion over the next 5 years, a 31% increase over now. According to the second measure, DoorDash captured 33% of the market in 2019, showing tremendous growth, 143% year over year.
Most of us will never become a billionaire. You're a young guy who's become a billionaire. What surprises you the most about it?
Well, I don't know if I've digested my relationship with money yet. I grew up without a lot. And my hypothesis, I think, around this area is that, money or any form of resources, they amplify probably who you are and what you're excited about. I still live in my condo here in San Francisco. I'm actually taking this call right now from a laundry room that's about maybe 50 square feet. And I'm wearing a shirt that's probably 4 or 5 years old. That's because I've never been that excited about some of those things, and that's not to say that you can't be excited. But, my passion's around how can we achieve our potential of growing and empowering local economies as well as help the community. If there's some more resources I could put behind some of those curiosities and energies, that's really where I'm looking for that intersection in marriage.
Oh, you got a delivery, David.
Yeah, Big Bird. You can get all sorts of things delivered. They're the culinary artists with delicious cuisines.
That famous cookie shop in the magazine.
Get more from your neighborhood, from convenience to corner stores.
A few years ago, I was intrigued when Jeff Bezos talked about robots and robots delivering things, and I thought he catalyzed a whole new conversation that many of us in kind of mainstream life didn't know about. Talk to me about what the rest of us may see in 3 or 4 years that maybe you're already having to think about or prepare for or wrestle with.
I think one of the biggest transformations in our economy today is that I think there's been so much emphasis on bits and not as much emphasis on atoms. And in some ways, we're seeing a digitization of the physical world, of the atoms moving around us. I mean, if you think about what DoorDash is trying to do, we're trying to catalog digitally the physical world. We're trying to tell you how many apples are there left in aisle 6? Where is the last parking space in San Francisco? How long does it take to make this deep dish pizza versus that sushi roll? We have to answer these questions first before we can bring you anything. Businesses themselves, physical businesses themselves, have to answer these questions before they can compete in the digital and convenience economy. So I think there's a massive transformation there. I'm an optimist, and if you look at the data, I know that there wasn't much positive light that came out of the pandemic, but if there was one I would call out, it would be that it was the first year that every physical business participated in e-commerce, and they took market share. And they did it because they were compelled to, they had to, because their doors were closed. But it was amazing to see that what happens when all of those atoms all of a sudden move online. And that's what you're seeing. I think we're going to create more creators and entrepreneurs in the economy. There should be no reason why, if you have an amazing passion to make food from your kitchen or make t-shirts from your living room, that you can't go to market and start a business. We should foster that. I mean, entrepreneurship is the lifeblood of every economy. I think platforms like DoorDash, can be a place where it's the new way to start a business. We'll help you figure out what to make. We'll help you price it, go to market. We will obviously deliver and fulfill the goods with you and for you. We'll customer service it for you. We'll help you build your own channel so you can build direct relationships with the customers that get excited about your products. And, that's the world I see happening. And it's really this marriage between technology and, I think, human creativity and really just humanity. I've never believed in one trying to substitute or replace the other, because, at the end of the day, it's people, last time I checked, that make and invent products and technology. That's what we've always believed at DoorDash. Real problems like, how do you help make a kitchen that's not utilized at all hours of the day, like a restaurant, actually grow its sales? Technology that gives workers, the dashers, the drivers on our platform, flexible earnings opportunities so that they can supplement their income.
We talk a lot on this show about dreaming fearlessly and bringing those dreams alive. What's the most interesting thing you think you've learned that you would share with other people about how to dream fearlessly and bring those dreams alive?
The other thing that caused me, really to almost 180 my pursuits, if you will, was moving to California in the middle of high school. We moved to the Bay Area, and I just went from a place where sports was kind of the dominant popularized activity to a place where academics became the dominant activity here in the Bay Area. Heading off to college, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and I heard a speaker who led oncology, which I knew nothing about, actually out of the University of Toronto. And that's actually where I first heard about a newer field at the time called mathematical biology. And I got really into it. You want to, let your curiosities grow. That's where my, interests lie. I continue to both explore my curiosities, but my passions around where am I going to have the most fun and the least regret, and how can we achieve our potential of growing and empowering local economies, as well as help the community.
I want to do a 1-minute lightning round, rapid fire, quick questions.
Let's do it.
Your favorite book of all time?
The Score Takes Care of Itself by Bill Walsh.
You could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive. Who would you love to have dinner with?
Winston Churchill would be a really fascinating person to have had a conversation with.
Last time you were afraid?
When my first child was born.
Best lesson you've learned about being a parent?
That it takes 3 days to change a baby's habits.
Most interesting thing you've learned about love?
That it's free and unconditional.
Tony, I so enjoy you. I'm a regular user of your product, have been for a while. Very grateful for what you did to hold my family together during COVID.
Well, thanks so much, Carlos. Hopefully we can either hoop it up or meet in person for a meal soon.
Hey, really hope you enjoyed Tony Xu. Had never met him before, but now count me as a big new fan. Found him to be thoughtful, interesting, humble, and I like the broad and kind of almost ambitious way he's thinking about what DoorDash not only is, but could be. Wishing him good things. We'll see where things take him. All right, listen, as we say goodbye, please take a quick moment to like, subscribe, maybe even leave a comment below. Let me know your favorite part of Tony's interview. What a good conversation. Looking forward to seeing him again right here on The Carlos Watson Show.
It's still the night shift, just brighter. Still a night out, but everything fits in. Chevrolet, making life's journey just better.
We don't know what our kids are capable of because their education sometimes is so limiting, particularly in Black and brown classrooms. There's always an emphasis to me on body control. You can go into a very affluent white classroom and the kids are moving around the room and talking and there's lots of activity and you assume that something magical is happening. You go into a Black classroom and the kids are moving around and interacting with each other and it's perceived very differently, right? Immediately someone thinks that teacher doesn't have classroom management skills. But I think it's also kind of limiting what we allow our kids to have access to. And we want to invite students to tell us, what are you curious about? If you have a hook and a kid is really excited about a particular subject or some sort of content, lean into the things that they do well so they build the confidence they need as students to tackle the things that are a little more challenging.
Shockingly, 14 million students are in schools with police, but no counselor, nurse, psychologist, or social worker. And 2 out of every 5 students say they feel unsafe with police officers in school, which begs the question, who are they protecting?
It would be a better country for all of us if Black children and white children got equal educations and had equal opportunities.
So what has the last year done? Because there were more conversations about race than I remember in my life during the Black Lives Matter protests. Has that changed in your experience?
I think in some ways, obviously it's better because of awareness, and especially with social media, it has its flaws, but it's bringing things to more attention to important issues. But for me, it kind of feels like it's worse because now I feel like any of my white friends or people at work, they're walking around eggshells around me because they're afraid that anything they're gonna say is offensive. Or when I say, hey, this is actually a microaggression, or this feels kind of ignorant, I'm trying to let you know, it's instantly, instead of, hey, I apologize that I did those things and here's how I'm going to change. Now it's defending, I'm not racist, I'm not like this, I'm not like this and this and that. It almost seems like they feel like the finger is pointed at them and everybody's walking around eggshells and can't have that conversation because they're so afraid to be called out for something negative.